presence towards Banana. They haven't really taken Banana control just yet. And just light utility, that's forced Endpoint to play pretty passive a bit.
Molotov's doing damage. I mean, you talk about light utility, but heavy HP. Like, look at Thomas, 47 points to his name. And yeah, it's a FAMAS that's getting tagged down here, but you know, ideally, if you can get to him and make that UMP, have the low HP. Rifle back to someone who could potentially do. Oh, as he has the smoke, Skrunk is just going to look for a frag or two. Mighty Mac's going to push very aggressive. For the moment here, smokes go down. The T's are suppressed for the moment. Surreal with another follow-up HE that could do a ton of damage. He does get overwhelmed. Thomas gets only one frag as Mirbit takes him down. Stefan and Skrunk are on double digits of HP, 20 or less. And Crucial and Robin not knowing this, knowing that they have two extra players to deal with as well. They're just not even going to bother for this one. Alternate attacks on T's side. This is deadly good.
It really is. That's one way of putting it, because it's looked really simple, honestly. It's just hasn't been anything crazy, hasn't been any, like, you know, 400 IQ strats. It's just been very simple. They take a Banana control pretty much every round because Endpoint aren't putting a lot of utility towards it. They're doing damage. They get the opening kill onto Skrunk. They use a couple of players towards A. They smoke a couple of set pieces with the smokes. Hold the A players at bay. They execute in. They get some really nice entries. Great flashbangs. Pretty simple stuff. 5-1 coming up for the alternate attack side. And you've got a thing for Endpoint. What's the call here? What is the change up? I want to see Banana presence. I want to see them taking control. They can't keep playing that passive and deep into the sides.
A technical pause to come through here. I wanted to see how aggressive or passive they will play for the moment. Not sure specifically what the issues are. We only had a couple of tech pauses over the course of the day, not during this series, and alternate attacks. And Endpoint will be quickly getting back into control and contention. The M4's out, the AK's, the M4 on Skrunk saved, and the AWP out for Slacks. No AWP for Crucial at this stage. Endpoint, very similar to the earlier series that they play. They're struggling to manage the economy here in Inferno.
And, well, you even look at the buy from Mighty Max. He's being forced onto a UMP, so certainly struggling with the buy, struggling with the economy game. Now, this time around, a bit of a change-up coming out from Endpoint. They're not taking Banana control, but at least they're using a little bit more utility, trying to do a bit more damage, and that's a great opening. This was the change-up I wanted to see, to take impact and to take opening stances, and they found an opening pick. Now make it 2.
5-on-3 situation, T's out towards the mid-control. Cressy gonna look to round this corner. Crucial, gonna back off of his own right here. The incendiary coming through for the man, and Cressy just can't seem to face around this corner, so we're all gonna re-smoke down. Bit of contention out here to the broken wall gap at the pit position. The AK of Cressy looking to round up and try and see if he can take Thomas down, but nothing going to be seen by this T-side force. Finally, Slacks gets Surreal for their opening frag of this round here, 4 versus 3. Robin makes it 2 though, as Slacks drops next. Mirbit here out in the open, does catch Thomas jumping up, looking for Robin on the bomb site. 4 HP, he's gained a major chance for alternate attacks now.
He's kept them in this round, 2-on-2. This is still very doable for the T side, but it all just comes down to timing. They need to make sure between Cressy and Mirbit that they're working off each other's contact, considering how low Mirbit is, and the information's already given up on where the CTs are.
Cressy's got to get here close because Mirbit's dead, and he does find Mighty Max now. 1-on-1. Crucial knows exactly where this player is. No smoke for the defuse. The flashbangs, sticking it, tapping it once, forcing Cressy to peek forward. He's going to fall away. Back on the defuse once again. Cressy shoulder banging, forcing Crucial off. Crucial gets the kill and just has enough time for the defuse here. He's got the kit. Therefore, he has a second for Endpoints.
And it really seemed like that Cressy was actually going to win out that fight, or at least win out that round. He was doing a really great job of trying to bait bait out Crucial, but in the end, that may have just been a little bit more of a commitment that was necessary. He could have just kept jiggle peeking rather than trying to swing and take the fight. And Endpoint, realizing the fact that it came down into a 1 versus 1 in the end. And our lovely partners over at Hellcase giving us some fantastic codes to use, Malta V and Malta V15. A little bit of a cash injection and a 15% refill bonus. A great opportunity to get involved with some sick skins while we're in the grand finals, which really is a sick affair. And even with Endpoint, you know, they can't even really be happy they win that round. I mean, they can be happy, but they didn't win it with 3-4 players alive so they could build up the bank.
Got to keep things going here for Endpoint. The lack of a bank is going to force them down to this very awkward scenario here on the UMP and the MP9. Back on the rifles, of course, for alternate attacks. They are loaded. We've got golden guns at this stage with the amount of money that they have. Skrunk and Stefan tagged up very heavy. Incendiary is going to try and force them back. So Endpoint doing whatever they can with what little they've got. The HEs and utility in particular.
This is going to be a very difficult clutch to really keep Endpoint in the game in this third map of the series. How does he isolate these fights? He's got a kit, does not have a smoke, Jay.
Oh, quick scope in against Slacks is not going to be enough here. Not quick enough. And that is going to be the rounds returned by alternate attacks. Endpoint, very similar to some of the weaker maps they've had so far today. They just can't seem to catch a break on the CT side.
You know, this is a really slow start, very slow start from Endpoint. And we're looking at a 7-2 score lineup for the alternate attacks boys. And one person in particular who was very quiet in that last series was Stefan. Look at how much work he's finding in terms of opening kills out towards Banana. He's firing up. He's currently on 11 kills, and he's winning them a lot of rounds.
Incendiaries and the Deagles to force back the CT side. Again, it's an eco for Endpoint. A deco for some players, but other players have much more cheaper weapons to work with because that's how low the money line really is, and the lack of money. The economy game being played pretty poorly right now by Endpoint is just going to keep hurting them round after round. Go to save the lost bonus to stack up, get another buy back in. By that point, alternate attacks will just keep stacking on round. And right now, with 4 rounds to the deficit on CT side here for Endpoint, they picked this half. Really going to be an awkward little time for the CT forces.
Alternate attacks. At the moment, they've got options. They've taken top banana control. They've got a couple of players lurking around the apartment. So they can go A, they can go B. It's up to them. They're running down the clock, getting closer to 40 seconds. It looks like it is going to be an A commitment. Making sure that they're not running the clock too low and making sure they're using their utility to try and force the CTs out into the open. And I'll be looking to see the established crossfires to come out for the Ts.
Well, Skrunk gets surreal. 8 HP traded back for him, though, so the CTs are putting up a bit of a fight. USP for Crucial. We've got Thomas also out here. Face up, Cressy tagged up. Oh, 2 HP, he stays alive. Thomas can find this trade kill. He's right there, but backed up by Mirbit, who responds from the upper position over in the balcony. Mighty Max gets Skrunk, grabs that AK, and now has to fall back here. Same for Robin as soon as he peeks in from long to try and get the exit frag here on the T side. Maybe Mirbit could also give up his life. No, Max is going to get out of dodge, so a 7th for alternate attacks. Endpoint, not a bad eco, but again, the issue for them is the round difference right here. They need to get something going on the board.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, you can have impact in terms of ecos and half buys and get a couple of kills here and there, limit the economy, but that only gets you so far. What really gets you far is the amount of rounds you put up on the board, and so far for Endpoint, really not seeing a lot. Alternate attacks are just looking dominant at the moment on the T side. And one thing we haven't quite seen from them yet is something quick. So I'm wondering in this following gun round whether we're going to see a bit of a change-up coming out from the in-game leader, whether to say, right, we've been very slow, we've been very methodical. Do we want to change things up and surprise Endpoint, catch them off guard? Or do we want to continue with which is what is working best, which is the slow takes out towards Banana, getting that map control out of the apartments, working together, working picks, slowing down the clock, baiting out utility on the CT side? And I suppose we'll just have to wait for round number 10 to see what kind of call we're going to get out from Skrunk. And you got to think for Crucial, mate, he's got to be firing up. He's got to be the one to get them out of this hole. Him and Thomas, I'm looking at those two guys to be pulling these rounds back.
Yeah, Thomas has had a pretty quiet series so far. It's not just this map. Crucial having a great second map over there, of course, over on Train. But yeah, you're right. Those two players need to stand up right now. The numbers are generally poor on the Endpoint side because they haven't been given much of a chance to do anything against alternate attacks. AK for the AWP, the M4's coming out for the Endpoint side. Of course, the AK save for Mighty Max, but so limited utility here for the CTs. I don't know how they recover this situation. They've used up the majority of it just to gain the banana control here against the Molotovs and the smokes down. Stefan receiving bullets but not receiving damage, and Endpoint will gain his part of the map. What was that? Oh, Stefan! Somehow predicting it, and they didn't even have much to work with. They conceded it all.
What? I've never... He's gonna knife him. No, he's not. I've never seen that before. That was, like... They didn't even use any... This has got to be an instant save for Endpoint. Yeah, they're out of there. So, what we see there is... you know, Jay mentions a really good point. The fact that they're using a lot of utility towards Banana, but for alternate attacks, they say, go ahead, take it. Stefan uses... They're not using any utility to fight it. They give it up to the CTs. And well, Stefan, that's insane. I've never seen a double spray down like that through smoke without even any sound cue or anything. And as soon as he gets those couple of kills, they go, right, we can just storm this B bomb site and Endpoint. Straight away, they have to go for the instant save. Mate, that... I'm actually shell-shocked. I've never seen that before.
The timing on that legit could
100%.
not have been worse for Endpoint. Like, the lineup was perfect. I think I know what Stefan was trying to go for there. Hang on, Swan's going to get surreal. Cressy getting Crucial.
There we are.
Dead. That is disaster for Endpoint. But I think I know what Stefan was thinking here. He was just going to say, look, I'm going to take a spray through. Maybe I might get a pick or do some damage and then just rotate out to join my teammates because they were all setting up for the A hit. And as soon as that spray came through, it was just like, all right, cool, we'll come to B. Oh, man, that is just... Can it get any worse for Endpoint here? Like...
Yeah, it could do.
Their performance
16-2.
Their performance in this last map has been something to behold, and I don't say that in a good way.
Yeah, look, I mean, things like that are unfortunate. We don't see them every day. It's so much of a rarity. I mean, honestly, for Stefan, you know, he's just trying to see if he can go for a bit of spam, see if he can connect onto anything, just sell a bit of a presence towards top of the bottom of Banana while they make their way in through brackets, and he gets lucky. And for Endpoint, honestly, you know, for a UK side, you know, that honestly could be like a tilt factor. That could be like, right, we really needed that round. We just got spammed. We're now down 8-2. How do we bring this back? We're on a half buy. This is not acceptable. We need to turn this around.
Well, at some point, I have Endpoint take an actual tactical pause, and Ross R steps up like, listen, boys, this is not good enough. Now, I realise, yeah, they played 2 back-to-back best-of-3 series, but unfortunately, that's the belly of the beast here. You know, Endpoint are no strangers to marathons. They've been to I-Series. You know, anyone who's been to I-Series will know what I'm talking about. The Eagles out for the CT side. They've got an SMG for Mighty Max. 30 seconds to the hit for alternate attacks at the very least. Endpoint will have that little bit of a time bonus, and they get the kill at the right moment. They could potentially steal the round away. Nice nade on Cressy, especially whizzing right past his head. Deagle out for Surreal, drops the first. Thomas drops the opening kill instead, actually. Meerbit peeks out towards the short position, gets that first frag at the T side, but a 3 versus 2 now. Deagle's pressing in. They do deal with Surreal, they do deal with Thomas. MightyMax gets an SMG, is spraying towards the AWP, turns it to a one-on-one now. And Stefan on the bomb site. Nade to his position, doing a bit of damage. The AK, however, can win out on the firepower and the range game. MightyMax needs to get in close. Re-smokes down. Stefan here towards the boxes. He's going to whack his way out of the smokes in position. The SMG spray through, gets the frag, and MightyMax steals one away from the T side.
And, well, there you go. You know, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but, you know, the way Counter-Strike is, Jay, it doesn't always have to be a rifle round, or it doesn't have to be an eco round that wins you success. We see there from Endpoint, and finally they pick up their third. It's been a while since we've seen them win a round, but it's a round nevertheless. Yes, it comes into the one-on-one. Yes, it was a great clutch from MightyMax. And you've got to think for Endpoint, that's the turning point for me, where MightyMax says, right, we've come off to a poor start. I've just clutched out an insane one-on-one. Now we need to turn it up. Now we need to, you know, continue. We can't just win one and let them continue their presence. Oh, this is a fast take. This is a set piece. They've drilled this before.
Yeah. No, yeah, alternate attacks. If this is correct, this might be the wrap through Speedway. That's what it is. They've done this so far in this matchup, and Surreal's ready for it this time. 2 players dropped, one of which is the bomb. AK's in check. He knows another player also at CT and Speedway, so they can adjust against this. They may be a little bit exposed here on the A bomb site as the smoke start to clear, and the AWP indeed will capitalize on a frag. 1 player left here on the defense. Robin will get scrunked, and Stefan will trade back to a 2-on-2. Thomas and Crucial here to get back to the site, go for a retake here, but again, alternate attacks getting themselves a bomb plant.
Endpoint on for yet another retake. MightyMax not quite alive this time around, and Stefan, oh, the reposition. This could be such a difficult angle to check, and he's heard all the footsteps. He knows where both of them are coming from. Stefan, 1 versus 2 clutch coming out. Another round for alternate attacks, and just when Endpoint win their third, they can't follow up. They've got no money. What an instant response.
Oh, boys, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Thomas could not even get him down past half his HP.
Yeah.
I don't know if Stefan was tagged prior to that round, but just... or prior to that post plant, I should say. But man, just man. AK's Orps out, and the CT's back up on a force buy here. Like, they're mentally checked out. Like, they are mentally out of this round and out of this map up, and probably even, maybe, you know, just the half at best. I don't know where you go from here for Endpoint. Like, you know, I understand that, you know, statistically speaking, their T side is the strongest one, but historically against alternate attacks, their best halves are the CT sides, and it's like we're talking about with alternate attacks on train. If they can't get something going in what would theoretically be their worst half, you know, like, how much hope do you have to go and carry us right back to an overtime?
Yeah, look, I mean, Endpoint certainly have not looked on tip-top shape in this last map. You can clearly see it. Just even things like simple protocols of cross-firing sets with one another in early rounds are just not on point, not crisp, and you can't really make the excuse of fatigue or anything like that. I'm not buying it. You know, all these teams face the same circumstances or same conditions. And alternate attacks, you know, they're looking on point at the moment, and Endpoint aren't. You even look at the economy of the utility game for Endpoint, there's hardly any to use. As soon as Crucial use that smoke, they've got nothing. Yes, Surreal's got a flash and a HE, but it's actually going to be a fake to the A bomb site. They're going to go back over to B, and this is, I don't think Endpoint are going to be able to hold on to this round.
UMP here for Thomas will try to get Stefan to drop. He actually does get it, but Cressy responds. 3-on-3. Robin's still here towards Church. Cressy getting around this corner, knows exactly where this player is, and gets the drive-by pistol shot. 3v2 retake. Crucial does catch me a bit for 1 good kill. Slacks here with his AWP to respond, going to keep his eyes on position. Surreal does catch Cressy, so it's all left to Slacks. An advantage for Endpoint, but can they make this happen? They've lost clutches against alternate attacks before. The 1v2 from Stefan in the last round in particular. AWP hearing them come forward, missing his shot, and can't get out of dodge. So there you go, a fourth for the CT board here. Can they follow up into 6?
Oh, well, it'd be the first time they follow up a round over on the city side of Inferno. They've only been able to win out singular rounds. And you've got to think there for Endpoint, they've got to be pretty happy with that. That's a really good retake in the 2-on-2, working together, making sure that they're working on each other's contact to wide swing the last player of Slacks. 19 kills to just 5 deaths for Stefan. He's done so much work on the T side. And honestly, Jay, the thing that I'm looking for the most in this round is a repeat of Endpoint with a victory. They need to follow up.
Warp in for Crucial, going to keep his eyes on towards this long wrap around here in this corner plate. The T's won't challenge him. They will just get brackets control, fall back in towards mid position. It's just mid control for all attacks, not much of the banana position either. The CTs will aggress through this. Last time they did this, they got sprayed down by a lineup. A minute and 10 to go, and they do fall back. Mighty Max will burst through, give up his position. Not get any damage or kills for his return, but at least they'll know that at least they'll let them know that there's presence here. Not on attacks. Be a bit careful when they come to peek in.
This is one of the first times we've actually seen a 4A setup coming out from Endpoint. A lot of the time, they haven't even had the opportunity to go for it. They've often just had 2 or 3 even players at B. Now, they have called for a little bit of assistance. Thomas is making his way over. Scrunk's getting a little bit of information, even with him pressed up this aggressively. Do they check the angle? Oh, Scrunk.
Thomas flopping out to the M4 very quickly by getting the kill back on towards that man. Stefan going to adjust against him as he swings out way too wide, and there was 2 players there to receive that man. A 4v3 retake for Endpoint, and it looks like they're going to commit to this one. Smokes are down, nades are out to try and suppress and stall for time against the Endpoint side, and they think twice about this. They're going to save once again. Another round for alternate attacks to return to. I don't think Endpoint have had a single 2 rounds in a row. They've just been...
They haven't?
Yeah, this has not been... And as well as that, I'm just taking a look at the board now. They've all been diffuses. Alternate attacks
retakes
have legitimately been overwhelming. Overwhelming with how they've taken on the board on this T side. The 11-4 is on the table. It's a likely outcome for this half.
No, I'm with you. I really am. That stat point alone that you make, Jay, the fact is that they've won 4 rounds. All of them have been retakes. All of them have been diffusers. Some of them have been even, you know, some really nice clutches. We saw that 1 versus 1 out for Mighty Max. The 2-on-2 retake over at the B bomb site in the last couple